Now in this lecture we are going to learn about chain conditional. Now what is chain conditional? Sometimes there are more than two possibilities and we need more than two branches over here. So as you remember, when we are talking about simple conditionals over here, we said that we have only two conditions over here. So one condition is if the condition is met, we are doing this, which is in green. If it is not met, we are doing this, which is in red. Now, as I mentioned, there might be some situations we need more than two possibilities over here. So in this case, we are going to express a computation like this with a chain conditional. So here we use chain conditional with elif statement, which is an abbreviation of else if condition. Instead of having simple if else statement where there is only one condition, if this is true, we need to do this, otherwise we need to do this. Here we are going to have more than one condition. So you can add as many elif conditions as you want. So with chain conditional, our conditions will be like this. So here, first we can check for condition 1, then we are going to do A. So if the condition 1 is not met, in this case we are going to continue to check the condition 2. So in this case, if the condition 2 is met, we are going to do B, otherwise we are going to do else statement over here. So as I mentioned, we can add as many elif conditions as we want over here. But here you need to take into account that if you have else statement, you have to put this else statement at the end. You can skip else statement over here, or you can add else statement at the end over here. And else statement means that if none of these conditions were true, we can do this final thing over here. Now if you look at the example that we implemented using nested if statements before, our example was like this. First we were checking if x is equal to y, then in this case we are printing out this message, x and y are equal. Otherwise we were writing a nested if condition over here and checking that if it is greater than y or not. Now in this case we can implement this if condition without using nested if condition with chain conditional. Now if we implement chain conditional over here, our if statement will be like this. So first we are checking that if x is greater than y, in this case we are printing out x is greater than y, then we are writing elif statement like this. Elif x is less than y, in this case we are printing out x is less than y, and otherwise if these two conditions are not met, this means that they are equal, so we are printing out that they are equal. And here again, exactly one branch will be executed. So there is no limit in the number of elif statements, so if there is an else clause, it has to be at the end. But take into account that you can skip this else statement over here as well. Now let's look at how the flowchart of this chain condition will look like. Now in this case, our flowchart will be like this. So as you can see, it starts from here. First we are checking that if x is greater than y or not. So if it is yes, we are printing out greater and our arrow goes at the end. So it's not continuing to execute these conditions over here. Now if it is not true, it's going to continue to another if statement over here. So in this case, it's checking that if x is less than y. So if it is less than y, it's continuing printing out less and the arrow goes at the end. Otherwise, if it is not less than y, in this case it's printing out it's equal and the execution finished over here. So as you can see, here only one statement will be executed. So it's not possible that this condition is met and it's continuing to do this condition. So if this met, it's continuing to the end of this execution flow over here. So here the important moment is it doesn't matter how many elif statements you are going to write. In this case, only one of them will be executed. And each condition will be checked in order. If the first one is false, the next one will be checked. And if the next one is false, and it will continue to the next one. And if one of them is true, the corresponding branch executes and statement ends over here. If more than one condition is true, only the first branch will be executed. Now let's see how this is working in practice. So if we go back to our mortgage calculator that we created before, so as you remember, we have added credit score as a nested if else statement over here. Now let's say when we check the calculation of interest rate, we see that actually there is one more condition we need to take into account. So here our condition will be like this. If the credit score is greater than 800, interest rate will be 4. If the credit score is greater than 750 and less equal to 800, which means that it is between 705 and 80, in this case the interest rate will be 6, and if it is less than 750, in this case it's going to be 8. So we have to implement this logic over here. Before we were checking just if this is greater than 800 or not, but in this case we have 3 conditions over here. So if we implement these conditions to our flowchart, the flowchart will be like this. So as you can see, here also the first thing that we are doing, we are checking that if the salary is greater than 2000 or not. So if it is not, we are stopping over here. So execution of this flow stops over here. If it is greater than 2000, in this case, we are printing out saying that you are eligible for mortgage, and we are continuing to the chain conditions over here. So here we are checking that if the credit score is greater than 800, if it is yes, we are printing out the interest rate is 4. Otherwise, if it is not greater than 800, we are continuing to check if it is greater than 750. So if it is greater than 750, in this case, we are printing out interest rate is 6, and otherwise the interest rate will be 8. So this means that it is less than 750 over here. So as you can see, for example, if we take 900 as a credit score, you can see that these both two conditions are met. So it is greater than 750 and it's greater than 800. So as we mentioned, the first condition that is met will be executed first. So in this case, this condition will be executed and it will end over here. So it will not continue to check these conditions over here. Now, based on this flowchart, let's head over to Python and implement our logic in practice. So before, we have created our mortgage calculator like this. So we have implemented credit score using nested if-else condition over here. Now we are going to implement chained if-else condition for this credit score over here. So the first part will remain same. So first we are asking for the salary. Then based on salary, we are checking that if the salary is greater than 2000. In this case, we are continuing to ask for credit score and write the conditions based on credit score. So as we said, if the credit score is greater than 800, in this case, we are going to print out interest rate 4%. Then we have added another condition over here. So another condition is like this. So in this case, we are going to check if the credit score is greater than 750. So you need to take into account that when you are writing a if statement, you have to write it in the same level with if-else statement over here. So a if statement will be like this. So as you can see, we are writing a if statement at the same indentation level with if and else statement over here. So a if credit score is greater than 750. So we need to put here also a colon. So after the else statement, we are going to put colon over here. Then we are going to hit enter. So as you can see, when I hit enter, the cursor is come to the same level with the print statement that we have inside this if condition over here. So I'm just going to copy this print statement from here and paste it over here. And we are going to change the interest rate to 6 over here. So if the credit score is greater than 750 and less than 800, in this case, the interest rate is 6. And otherwise, if it is less than 750, in this case, interest rate will be 8. So with this, we have successfully implemented our chain conditions over here. So as you can see, by using a list statement over here, we have added one more condition to the credit score over here. Now let's run our code to see how this is working. So if I hit run, you'll see that first it's greeting, welcome to our mortgage calculator, then it's asking for our salary. So which means that it's coming to over here. So for example, if I enter 2400 and hit enter, so you'll see that it says that you are eligible for mortgage. So this means that it's going to ask the credit score. So it's asking credit score. So in this case, for example, if I enter 760 and hit enter, you'll see that in this case, it says that the interest rate is 6. So it's calculating only a if statement and execution ends over here. Now, if I run our code one more time and enter as a salary 2500 and hit enter, and as a credit score, for example, if I enter 600 and hit enter, in this case, you see that it's printing out saying that the interest rate is 8. So as you can see, only one statement from this chain condition is executed. So it's not executing all of them. First, it's checking the first one. In this case, it's not met. It's continuing to the next one. So in this case, it's also not met. And then it's continuing to the last one and printing out this message to the console over here. Now with this, we have come to the end of this lecture. So in this lecture, we have discussed chain conditional by using a list statement over here. So hopefully everything is clear about chain conditionals over here. So see you in the next lecture.